In this screencast, I will show you how to deploy the EventSentry agent to a remote server. The first step when we want to deploy the agent to a remote computer is to add that host to a new group or an existing group. In this case, I'm going to pick the existing group service here and click the Add Computer button. I'll type in the host name. In this case, this test computer is called Big Event, and hit OK. And the computer is now added, and we can now, next step would be to verify and make sure we can actually reach that host and that we have permissions to install an agent on it. So we're going to select the group or the computer in this case and hit the check status button here. So what this will do is we'll connect to the server and make sure and check the status of the EventSentry agent. I'm going to hit go. So we're getting an error message here back. The specified service does not exist as an installed service. So that's actually to be expected. The agent is installed. Henceforth, the service is not installed, and we get this message. So, but the good news is we do have permissions, because if we wouldn't have permissions, we would get a very different error message that would probably sound like access denied. If the remote computer is not on the domain, or if you're not monitoring in a domain environment, you can always assign permissions to this host by clicking the Set Authentication button and setting up credentials and assigning those to the host. So to deploy it is very simple. We simply select the computer, hit the Deploy Agent button, and hit Go again. The first thing that's now happening in the background is the management console is preparing the configuration file. It's pushing the configuration to the remote host, copying the files, and starting the service, and that's the end. That's the last part of the deployment process. And the agent was installed successfully. You can see a little green check mark here next to the icon, and we also see the version of the installed agent, which should match what we are running here, and we can always check that on the welcome screen here where it says 3.0.1 build number 7. So that's what we have on the other one. And if you go back to Big Event now and say check status, hit go again, what we'll see is that the service is running exactly what we're looking for. Next step in verifying whether the deployment was successful is by navigating to the web reports. And why don't we take a look at the logs first. And we can see here that the new host, Big Event, is already showing up here. And if you click it, we can filter it down and we'll see exactly what type of events we've been collecting so far. So in this case, we've been collecting logs from the application and the system event log. Other information, of course, will populate as well over time. For example, the host should show up in the network status page. In this case, we see the local host, test01, and we have a little cloud icon here because it's a virtual computer. The reason why the host is not showing up yet is because it takes a couple of minutes, depending on the configuration, up to 15 minutes for performance information to populate, which is required in order for the host to show up on the network status list. But we know that the agent is running, and we know that it's working correctly since we have event log data collected from that host. We can also look at the inventory here. If you go to Inventory Computer, Big Event here does show up, so we have some information here available. We know it's a VMware virtual host, in this particular case 64-bit Windows 2008 R2 machine. We have some virtual hardware information, of course, the current uptime, some information about the virtual disks that are present on that host, and we also, of course, have a software inventory on that host. So that's it. That's how easy it is to deploy an agent. To uninstall an agent, again, just select the computer icon here, the computer object, and we have all the options available here for managing the agent. Check status, we already looked at deploy agent. We have additional options here: start, stop, restarting the agent. We can uninstall the agent, of course. Update, upgrade is necessary after you install a patch. So if you install a patch on your management console, you want to utilize the update upgrade option here, and of course you can apply that globally as well to all the computer groups and not just the selected computers. You can do them all in one batch. And don't forget that anytime you make changes to the configuration, you'll want to push the configuration to any of the hosts that you'd want those configuration updates to receive. This can be automated with a command line utility, but by default, any configuration updates will have to be pushed out with the push configuration feature. And again, this can be done on the computer groups level so that it applies to all computers. Thank you for watching.